Well, good morning and welcome to Integrative Preparedness. I am Steve Smith, and how are you all today? I want to talk today about surviving the jungle. And there are different kinds of jungles, and you have to be ready for all of them. It's just a matter of getting to know them. First off, a couple of things. I watched Cold War Preppers video, or was it last night or the night? I don't know. I just got back in town, and so I think I'm catching up on a couple of things. He did such a nice job reviewing and talking about the latest book of mine, and I'm going to be on, his name is Lee. I'm going to be on Lee's channel. He's going to be interviewing me about the series, about the Stonemont series on April 20. So I'm looking forward to that. If any of you are not already subscribed over to Lee on Cold War Prepper, I suggest that you do that. He is a sharp guy. He's retired military, Army, military intelligence, sharp guy. Covers everything from the basics to the much more advanced, coming from his area of expertise, and an honest guy, and just says it, and he says it very nicely. He is just a nice person, and I put a lot of stock in niceness. You may have heard me say before that I think that courtesy, politeness, and being nice is the secret weapon to survival. It really is. Maybe I'll get into that right today. I'm not sure. Also, I just put up a couple over on the Patreon channel. For anybody who's not with us on Patreon, you should be, because I cover so much stuff over there that I don't on YouTube. And I answered one of our Stonemont level members' question, which is, when should you draw your gun? And then I also include in that I kind of piggybacked one. Somebody else asked me about what I thought about Masad Ayoub's video about answering your door at 3 o'clock in the morning. And there are some things that I agree with the Masad about, and some things that I don't. And we come from different backgrounds, but I explain exactly why I feel the way I do, coming as an active police officer. To whereas he was a trainer and such as that. Somebody will say, but he was a police officer. No, he was a reserve. Okay, there is a big difference. Not taken away from him, but very often those people who kind of are auxiliary, reserve, honorary, posse, sheriff's posse, things like that. They don't live the life, so they don't have the same experiences, and that's why people's advice will differ. And so I talk about what I would really suggest in a situation like that. Since I mentioned that I'll be over on Lee's channel on the 20th of April, remember that this and every one of my videos, regardless of what commercials YouTube puts on, is brought to you by my books, the Stonemont series, The Reversion, the Revival, the Renewal, and Appeal to Heaven, the Blessings of Freedom, and the Hostages to Fortune. And this is the Stonemont series. They are the complete guide and plan in novel form of preparing for, surviving, and rebuilding after a complete collapse. People around the world have loved them for years, and if you haven't read them, you will too. And they're available either through Amazon, and the link is down below. You can get them either in paperback or Kindle, or you can get paperbacks from me signed. And the way to do all of that is right down below. You'll see in the information section, it'll say link to the Patreon channel, then it'll say link to my books on Amazon, I think, and then it'll say here's how to get signed copies from me and what to do and all that, and that's all down below. So I want to get to the topic of today, which is surviving the jungle. One of these days, I'm going to take you all for a ride down into the city, my old stomping grounds around my old district, and we're going to talk a little bit about the city. When the world falls apart, as those of you who have read my books see it described, when the world falls apart, that world becomes a jungle. It does. It becomes something that the average person is not only not familiar with, but could not imagine. And the average person really can't imagine the kind of jungle a city already is. That's why they're dangerous. It is a jungle. You know, that movie clear back in, what was it, the 50s or the 60s, called The Concrete Jungle. Well, yes, it is. Now, a jungle is dangerous if you don't know the jungle. Okay, that's why, you know, the military, all branches of the military, you know, have their jungle schools, right? If you're going to go fight in the jungle, you better learn about the jungle. Now, in the old days, it was down in Panama. I don't know where it is now, but it is. You don't say, okay, guys, now you're going from the desert, and now we're going to go fight in the jungle. So be on the bus, be on the plane, be on whatever tomorrow, and we'll land you in the jungle tomorrow. No. There's a lot of training that goes into surviving, being able to live comfortably in that environment. You know, it goes with everything. A mountain environment is one thing, a desert environment is another, a jungle environment is another, an urban environment is something else, a rural environment. It's all different. And when everything collapses, you're going to find things turning into the way, well, even worse than the cities are right now. There is this idea that it's kind of the old country boy will survive idea, and that's been around a long time. And of course, what was his name? Made it popular with the old country boy, Hank Williams Jr., right? Country boy can survive. I had. Well, I won't get into that story. Maybe I'll tell that another time. You need to think separating yourself from a jungle is good. I mean, if you don't have to live in the jungle, good. That's why people don't live in jungles, except those who, you know, the kind of people who do. They like that and they're used to it. But most people don't. You don't want to, but you do. It is important that you understand that pretty much everything in it can kill you, and much of it wants to kill you. Okay? That depending on who you are, you will be seen as prey. Now, stepping up a bit, if you are a predator, and that means if you know the jungle, if you are this is why city cops, you know, it's not dangerous for a city cop. It's not because they know the jungle. They are the apex predator in the city. Then you got the gangs, and every block's got the main guy, right? Those people are not afraid of the jungle. Those people, for the most part, the jungle is not a danger to them because most predators don't attack other predators. This goes across the animal kingdom, you know, unless it's for territory. All right, that goes across too, unless it's for territory. And so these people, they thrive in the jungle, and they leave each other alone. You know, no reason to mess with you over there. I got my turf, you got your turf. As long as you don't encroach on mine or threaten mine, we don't have a problem. And everybody's pretty much like that. You know, the mountain lion's got his own area. You know, and if another mountain lion comes in there, well, we're going to have to deal with it, and we'll figure it out. But it's important, and I would suggest that people expand their understanding of the different environments of life, including the jungle. Like I say, when it all goes apart, the suburbs will become the city. Okay. Now, the exurbs will become a better place, and I'm going to talk about that in one that I'm going to be making a little while down the road about where is the best place to live. And in my opinion, it's not out in the country. Nothing wrong with out in the country, okay? But there are certain reasons that I think that the exurbs are better. And I'll present those. And it doesn't mean that people who like to live in the country, doesn't mean they're wrong, okay? Doesn't mean that people that live in the suburbs are wrong. Everybody chooses what they want, but it's a matter of being able to function well within the environment that you choose to live in. When back in 1976, I was with a support unit, and we were working 2nd or mobile ring security for the RNC, the Republican National Committee headquarters, in the Muehlebach Hotel in Kansas City is where Ronald Reagan was staying. I think I told my Ronald Reagan story sometime back. And so they brought in, it was a huge event, as these things are, a Republican National Convention, right? So it was in Kansas City in 1976. And we were downtown, and everybody sent law enforcement. I mean, there was law enforcement here from everybody. Everybody wants a piece of that. It's exciting, right? So it could be Paducah, Kentucky, says, I want to send 2 officers up there to help with and then they're able to put it on their website. We didn't have websites back then, but they're able to say, we had officers assigned to security at, kind of like that. So we had people from everywhere, and we had military units working with us. Oh, they're not supposed to work. Yes, I know. We had one particular unit that we were teamed with that we had a great time. They told everybody they were chicken farmers. But what was interesting to see were the guys from the more rural areas, the small towns and the rural areas, a lot of highway patrol. And so we saw a lot of Missouri Highway Patrol, Kansas Highway Patrol walking the streets down there in downtown Kansas City. And at that time, along a stretch right across from the hotel was called West 12th Street, is where all the strip joints were, and a wild place to go. It was a great time. Kansas City used to be so much fun back then when the mob ran it. But you'd see these troopers. They'd be wild, and they looked sharp, man. I mean, they got their Smokey Bear hats on and everything, tilted just right. And but man, I mean, they were out of their element. You could tell, and they were looking around, and they were uncomfortable. See, people had this idea. Well, they're law enforcement. They can go down to the city. No, they can't. I mean, it was a good thing. Nothing happened to them, but they were surrounded by, city law enforcement too. But the girls that would hang out at the front doors of those strip joints, they would jack with those guys mercilessly. And, the guys would kind of be sucked in because they'd be walking down the sidewalk, looking all sharp. And one of the girls would come out, hey, sweetie, come on over here and welcome over here. And they'd come over there, and before you knew it, there were 2 or 3 girls around them. They were taking their hat off, and, the guy was, he didn't know what to do, kind of. They'd never do that with a city cop. There were some that even, I saw one girl get a guy's handcuffs away from him just because he wasn't ready. He didn't understand what was going on. He didn't understand the game. We used to play I shouldn't say that. There was a game that used to be played on the Future Farmers of America. The FFA used to have their annual get-together here in Kansas City every year. And way back in the day, before girls were allowed to come with them, it'd be a bunch of guys in the city. And so these guys would come in from the rural areas, and I'm sure they did very well out in their area, and city guys would do less well, right? But they were in the city. And so they'd be walking around with their FFA jackets on, and there was a game called the Murphy. It was a con game called the Murphy, and so a guy would be waiting by, and there would be thousands of these guys, blue jackets, FFA on the back, and it'd always say on the back where they were from, like the state or the city or whatever, and so a guy, the way the Murphy was played, a guy would be standing by a payphone. There were no cell phones back then, payphone. And as soon as you didn't want a large group because it'd take too much of a chance that there was a smart one in the group, right? And you didn't want to do like 1 or 2 because they wouldn't feel sure enough of themselves. So that the ideal thing would be 3. So they'd wait for 3 guys to come walking along, and they'd say, "Hey guys, you having a good time? Yeah. Would you like to meet a girl?" Really? They start looking at you. Well, yeah. I says, well, and you'd look around, not you would, somebody would. You'd look around like you were looking for, the cops or something. Said, well, I have a girl up here that, for X amount of money, You guys could go up there and visit her for a little bit. Really? Now, it wouldn't work on all of them, you know. I'd say probably 80%, you know, would kind of want to do it, but they'd be afraid of getting in trouble. But every now and then you get those, yeah. So you said, okay, just a second, let me make sure. So you'd put a quarter in the phone, call, you know, either a non-existent number or somebody, a buddy of yours at another payphone. Yeah, hey, baby, I got 3 guys here. You know, they're looking, you know, to spend a little time, and you know, are you available? And the guys would be looking at each other like this, you know. Oh, okay, guys. Yeah, she says, you know, yeah. Just a second. Okay, yeah. Do you guys want something to drink while you're up there? And they'd be going, wow. Yeah, okay. Well, yeah. Just give them a little something. Okay, all right. I'll tell them about 10 minutes. Okay, all right. Bye-bye. Then you go, okay, guys, it's set. It's down there. I says, you go ahead and give me $20, and you're going to give her $20, okay? And she'll have something to drink for you. And you know, once they gave you the, you know, the $20, you tell them where to go, which was, you know, always 2 blocks down, 1 block to the left. You'll see a doorway. You know, there was nothing down there. Yeah, but they'd be all excited, and and I suspect that some probably chickened out before they actually went out there, you know, but they were already, whoever was doing this already had their $20. When I had my gym down in a college town, at the beginning of every year, there would be a series of rapes in the girls' dorms. And what it always was girls from small towns or the country had gone back to their room and taken a nap in the middle of the day and left their dorm door open to get a breeze, because they came from safe places. And because colleges are also full of predators and from the cities, very often a predator would be walking down the hall, he'd see a door open, he'd see a sleeping girl on the rack, he'd walk in, shut the door, and it was over. The thing is that most people don't understand, not only don't understand the jungle, they don't even realize there really is a jungle. And there really is. You can go into any city now and you're in the jungle. But when it all falls apart, that jungle expands. And it can be everywhere or anywhere, because people's inhibitions will break down, people's fear, people's meanness, sadism will get the better of them, and the world as we know it will be no more. It's important, and this is why I'm giving more. I'm going to be talking about a lot more of this over on Patreon, simply because I think it'll be lost on too many people here. I want, when I talk about these things, I want the people to hear them, to really internalize them, to really understand them. I'm here to teach. I'm not just here to flap my gums. And now somebody will say, he just flapped his gums for 25 minutes. No. The important thing is there is a jungle, and most everything in it will kill you, and a lot of it wants to kill you or eat you. Okay? And it's the understanding of that is the first step to surviving it. The second step is to learn about it. The third step is to develop your abilities to deal with it and live within it as something other than prey. So, okay, I think that was about all I wanted to say on that today. I wanted to make sure that I told you what I put over there. Yeah, when should you, over on Patreon, when should you draw your gun? And how about opening that door at 3 a.m.? Over on Prepping for Prosperity, I'm going to be talking about part 2 of building your business and what the rich teach their kids that the poor don't. And I'm going to throw this in here too, because this can apply to so many. This isn't so much about preparedness, but I'm gonna be talking about this over on Prepping for Prosperity, and that's where people really want to develop themselves and the financial aspects of their preparedness, which is so important, because that is what enables you to develop the rest. Not the spiritual aspect, but the rest, the physical aspect. And this is a quote from Mark Twain, and it's exactly right. He said, "Stay away from those people who try to disparage your ambitions." That's right. Small minds will always do that, but great minds will give you a feeling that you can become great too. So true. I'm going to be talking about that in more detail on Prepping for Prosperity. If you're not with us there, come over there if you're interested in actually using your preparedness to create greater prosperity for yourself and your family. Come and join us. So you all have a good day. Remember that we prepare well today in order to live well tomorrow. Remember our sponsor, the Stonemont series, available either through Amazon or from me. The links are down below. And if you're not with us on Patreon, come and join us, and I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.